Alright, so before this video begins, I just wanted to say, yes, the title is correct. I do have over 122 trees. It's even more if you include my bushes that I have and the 30 or so that I've already planted up at the farm that my family bought. And also, the first time I recorded this video, it was lagging really bad, so this is just a re-recording of it. Anyway, I'm going to show you all my trees now. Alright, so right over here, you can see that's all of them. I'm going to start right back there. Alright, so this one here, it isn't mine. This one's my mom's. It's the Lambert Cherry. Because the other cherry that she has is dying, so she bought that one. But all the rest of these are mine. This one down here is a coyote willow, is what I think it's called. I'm not positive. That's what I think it's called. And I got this one from the middle of the canal road. When I got it, it was half dead, but it had several blooms on it that were still alive. So I dug it up just to see if it would survive. And it did, and it's doing awesome now, so that's cool. And it definitely would have been killed because it gets run over and sprayed a lot, so I saved that one there. Right over here is a walnut. It's the Man region, or English walnut, whichever one you want to call it. I have another one here. This one I'm going to tie down soon, but I haven't done that yet because I just really want a leaning walnut tree. And these two were ones that I bought for like actually it was $38 each. Right down here is a cottonwood that I dug up from the farm. My dad has. You can see it's got a couple new blooms that are trying to shoot up from the base of it. So I think it'll survive, but I'm not sure. And this one over here, I think I got this one. This is a cottonwood as well. I got this one from the park, right across the road from here. And this one down here, I think it was the same thing. I got it from the park, but this one died here. So, and here's two other cottonwoods here. They both ended up dying, but I did plant a vine in here. And the vine's doing pretty good. And these vines, I got a couple more of them, and I got them from my flower bed area. They're all over the place there because they don't have anywhere to grow up there because they don't have anything they can latch onto. So I wanted to just put them in pots so I can have something. Just instead of being all over the ground, they can have something they can grow up. I'll probably put in some sticks or something so they can grow up those. And right over here is another cottonwood. I think the top got eaten off by a grasshopper, but it does have some blooms on it, and it's still doing really good. The end of it used to look really, really healthy too, so it's going to be fine. This one I got from an area between my house and my neighbor's house that had several trees on it, but the neighbor cut them down and sprayed them, and a couple tried to come back. This is one of the ones that tried to come back, so that's where I got this one from. This one right down here, it might not look like it, but it's still alive. It's kind of struggling a little bit, but this one's a lilac here. And then right over here, I don't know what happened to this one. It got kind of wind whipped, and then started growing back, and then all of a sudden it died. This one was a weeping willow here. And so I'll probably have to replant it or something. This is one that I bought. I've tried to grow weeping willow before, but they usually end up dying. So I wanted to try and get one from the nursery, but it died as well. So yeah, I paid $30 for this one, but I'm probably gonna have to replant it. I only want one weeping willow. This one, yeah, this one's definitely died here. When you look, that inner bark is brown. It was so weird, it started growing back, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it just died. It got all blackened at the base. And right over here is a cottonwood that I have. This one I transplanted about 2 years ago. I got this one from the area that my neighbor cut down and sprayed. There was just a little baby cottonwood at that time, and so I transplanted that one. And then this little Russian olive in here popped up here, and I just decided to let it grow. And right over here were 2 little maples that I transplanted into the pot because I wanted the maples to grow along with the cottonwood. And I got these 2 from the park along the side, and those would have been killed anyway. And then right down here is my strawberry and raspberry bed. I had to replant it with more raspberries, but most of them were pretty big. This one's coming back right down there. I don't know if you can see that. And this one will be soon. I think it's still pretty green, so it'll probably start producing some new blooms. But because it was so big, it started shriveling up. But it will probably be coming back. And then right over here is another raspberry and strawberry bed. Here's raspberries here. There's some strawberries in between. And these were just extra ones that were growing out into the lawn. That's where I got most of these ones from. Right over here is a cottonwood. I got this one along the side of the ditch line. It was just growing along the side. This one definitely would have been sprayed because they spray along the ditch line a lot. So that's where I got this one. Right over here, this is a blue spruce. I got this one from, there was a church just down the road from my grandparents' house. And I was staying with them for a couple weeks, so I got permission and I went down there and I dug up several trees from down there, and there was a lot of blue spruce. So that's where I got this one from. I also got like 50 others, but I sold them because blue spruce, honestly, it isn't one of my favorite trees. And so I didn't want like 45 blue spruce trees, so I just ended up selling them. And right over here is a big Russian olive that I dug up. I got this one along the canal road. There's a total of like 12 of them that I got, and they definitely would have all died because they spray along there every single year. And I actually went back to check. All the ones that I left, which was only like 2 or 3, ended up dying. And I know a lot of people are probably going to freak out and say Russian olive is a noxious weed, but I know basically everything about these trees. And they do have a lot of good health benefits, and they're actually good for the environment. They put nitrogen into the soil, and they're good for the environment in small amounts. A lot of times, though, they just spread and take over if you don't watch them. I mean, I have a big one in my yard, and I haven't really had a problem with it spreading, but sometimes they can. Sometimes they can be invasive. As long as you're careful with where you plant them, they should be fine. And this one, I think this is the only one that I have with spikes. It's got 3 little ones here. Actually really, really cute on this tree. But usually they don't grow that many spikes. Some of them do have a lot of spikes, but the ones that I got, they don't have very many. And the trees next to them don't have many either, which is nice because I don't like having a lot of spikes on my Russian olives. And then right over here, this is a juniper. I got this one down at my grandparents' house as well. It would have been killed as well. Right over here, this is another Russian olive I got from down at the canal. You can see it died up at the top before I got it. I think something was eating at the base. And so it's doing good now. It's growing back. But it did die up at the top before I got it. Also, these Russian olive leaves are so soft. They're like the softest thing in the world. Then right over here, this is a blackberry that I got. There's a lot of these popping up everywhere in our garden area. And so I just dug up a couple so I could have a couple for my forest area that I want to build. And then here's another one that popped up in the same pot. And here's another Russian olive. I got this one from the canal road as well. It's looking pretty good. Over here, this is a Swedish column aspen. The leaves, they don't look as good as they could because it got kind of wind whipped and then it grew back. But next year, this one should be looking fine. It's still doing really, really well. There's a lot of grass popping up in the pot too. Right down here, this is a vine plant. Here's another vine, but I don't think that one's going to come back. And here's another vine here. Like I said, these are all over in my flower bed and they're taking over, so I wanted to move them somewhere else. Right over here is a little lilac bush that I got from my farm area. Over here, these are two ash trees, the green ash. They got a little wind whipped, but they're growing back now. I might have to put some more soil in here though, because this one is a lot of it got eroded from watering it, so I'll probably have to do that soon. Yeah, these two just popped up in the pot, so I decided to let them grow. Right over here is a staghorn sumach. I bought this one for $15 from someone. I met up with them and gave them $15 for their tree. Right back here, this is another Russian olive I got from the canal road. Another Russian olive there. This one, I don't know what this one is, but I saw it growing at the park. It could be a hackberry, a netleaf hackberry or something like that. It's the closest thing I could find to what it looks like, but I'm not completely sure on this one. But yeah, this one definitely would have been killed. This right here is a Pinyon Pine. It's barely alive down at the bottom. It's got a couple little blue needles down there. But I'm probably going to have to plant this with something else soon though. I do have one other Pinyon Pine though, and it's doing good. Right over here is a Juniper. I got these two at my grandparents' house, and they're planning on redoing their yard. So these definitely would have ended up being killed. Over here is a mint plant that I bought from the store a long time ago. And here is a Siberian elm here. This one I got growing along our ditch line in the front yard. I really like Siberian elm, but the one thing I don't like about them is they produce so many seeds. And it's nice because the seeds are edible, but they produce so many seeds. So I don't want too many of them. And I have two other Siberian elm here. These ones I got down at my grandparents' house. And right over here is another Russian olive I got from the canal road. Same with this one here. Here's another Russian olive here. And then I actually had one more of these Russian olives, but I gave it away to one of my cousins because they wanted one. And right over here, I don't know what kind of tree this is. It just popped up in the pot. But these are little daisy flowers down here. And they just kind of grew together, so I left them. Right over here is a golden currant. This is a Juniper. It's still barely alive, so hopefully it'll survive. I don't know. Right here is a little baby Russian olive. It was one of the 28 trees that I was talking about that I just transplanted on Twitter. I got those down at the canal road as well. Here's another golden currant here. And over here I used to have a, what was it? Swedish column aspen here, but then it ended up dying. So that's what happened here. I'm probably gonna have to replant that one soon. And over here were some flowers. These ones ended up dying though because I didn't get enough water to them. Here's a Russian olive here. And you can tell it snapped off at the top when I first got it, but it's growing back and it's doing good now. Over here is another golden currant here. And then here is a natural growing wildflower that I dug up. here's some daisies growing in this one, but this one is a Russian olive as well. It was one of the, maybe I got like 18 from down there. It was either 12 or 18, something like that. And right over here is a juniper. I got this one from down at my grandparents' house. Okay, so I just noticed that while I was editing, I forgot to mention this tree. This is another Russian olive I got. It got a little wind whipped at the top, but it's growing back and it's doing good now. Got this one from the canal road as well. It was part of the 12 that I got. Right down here is a blackberry that I got from my garden area as well. Over here is an aspen. I bought this one because it had 2 in a pot. And it got a little wind whipped, but it's trying to come back now. And these weeds at the bottom, I think that they're edible. I think that they're the edible kind that you can eat. That's why I'm letting them grow. And then right over here is a white pine. I bought this one from the store. White pine is supposed to have a lot of good uses for it. Like you can cut off the bark and put it on a wound and it will heal it up. I actually tried it with my brother. He got a cut, so I put some white pine on it and it started sealing it up, but then he went and played in the water and so it reopened it, which annoyed me. And you can also make tea with the needles, which is supposed to be really, really good for you. So yeah, this is an awesome, awesome tree. I want to get lots more of these. Over here, this one is a blue spruce. I got this one from down at the church near my grandparents' house as well. I wasn't going to get it, but they were going to kill it anyway. And I actually didn't think it was going to survive because of how big it was. But it ended up surviving, which is awesome. Of course, this stuff here is new growth, but it was about that big when I got it, which is crazy. But I'm glad it survived. Right over here, this is a apricot tree. This one is growing naturally in our garden. And so that's where I got that one. Over here, this is a wild rose. You can tell the grasshoppers are kind of trying to eat it. But I got this one down at the canal road. It would have definitely been sprayed and killed as well. There's a wild rose down there. There's 2 of them in the same pot. In this pot, there's a wild rose here. And there was a willow bush there, but I think it ended up dying. Right over here, this is a cottonwood I got from the farm. And there's a little cottonwood coming up here too. This one was one I got from the park. So it's got 2 cottonwoods growing in the same pot. Right over here, this is a blue spruce. It got a little wind whipped and so a lot of the branches died and fell off of it. You can see like things here. But it's doing pretty good now. And you can see it's trying to regrow a little bit. So I think by next year it'll be fine. And this is one that I bought. Over here was another big one that I bought. Same thing happened to it. It got kind of wind whipped. But it should be okay. Still doing pretty good overall, so it should be fine. And by next year, you probably won't even be able to tell. Over here, this is a Black Hill spruce. I bought this one as well. So that's what this one was. It didn't grow much this year, but next year it should grow a lot more. There is one at the park across the road from here, and they are really pretty when they get big, so that's why I got one of these. Right over here, this is an ash tree. This one grew up naturally in the pot as well. It just popped up, and so I decided to let it grow. This one over here is a Quaking Aspen. I bought this one as well. Right down here, this used to have a Swedish column aspen in it, but I think is it still alive? It may try and come back because it does have a lot of root in it, and it did try and come back the other day, but then it ended up dying, so I don't know if that one will come back or not. Over here is a maple tree. Here's another maple here. These were both, I got them at the park, growing along the side of the fence, and they definitely would have been killed. Over here is a juniper. I got this one from my front yard, and It's been mowed over quite a bit before this. That's why the base is so thick, but the top isn't. So hopefully it'll be able to grow better now. Over here is a Russian olive, part of the 28 that I transplanted. Most of these over here are from those Russian olives. And there's a couple that are starting to die, but most of them have survived because Russian olives are pretty hardy trees. Over here, this one is a maple here. This one I'm not sure what it was, but I just decided to transplant it. And over here is a wild rose. They both ended up surviving. Here's two other wild roses, but these two died. Right over here is a golden currant. And right over here, this was a wild rose that I planted in there, but it ended up dying. I got all the wild roses over here from the farm. And this is a maple here. This is a honeysuckle here, and this is a little baby elm that popped up in here, and I just decided to let it grow. I need to get a better pot for it, but I haven't gotten around to that yet. Then over here, most of the rest of these are Russian olives, except for this one. This one's an ash. This one I got from my flower bed area. This is an apple tree here. I dug this up from my front yard. We have a natural growing apple out there, and one of the seeds made a new apple tree, so I transplanted this one here. This, I think, is a honey locust tree, but I'm not positive. I got that one from the park there. This over here is an ash, and right over here is a cottonwood. This one was recently transplanted. It's still doing pretty good. And then here's another cottonwood here. It looks like two, but they're just connected on the same root. Cottonwoods, they have big roots, so they're hard to dig up a lot of times. And then right up here, this is a Russian olive here. There's some flowers here. I bought these flowers. That's what kind they are. I always forget what they're called, but I like the way they look. Here's a cactus. I dug this one out from my grandparents' place. Here's another flower that I bought. I need to cut off those tops soon, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Over here, I don't know what this one was, but I saw it growing at the church from just down the road from my grandparents' place, and so I transplanted it. And it's a cool little plant. These two back here were lilacs. There's two lilacs back there, but I think they died. And there's some flowers that died there, and there. I'm probably gonna have to replant a lot of those. And there's a Russian olive there. It was part of the 28 that I was. This was an apple tree here, but I didn't get a lot of root on it, so that's why it's drying up. Hopefully it'll be able to survive though. Here's an elm here. This one I got from, there was a park about 6 hours away from here or something like that, and I transplanted a bunch of trees from that. Only like 5 or 6 survived, but this is what this one was from. This was a lilac here. I think this one ended up dying though. This is a juniper. These two were from down at the church. It's down the road from my grandparents' place. And here's a Russian olive here. This one I got from the church as well. This one was an elm. This one I got from my grandparents' place. This is a lilac here. This one's still alive, barely. And here is another elm. I got this one from my grandparents' place as well. Here's two junipers. I think they both died though. Yeah, that's too bad. I'll probably have to replant those soon. And then here is a juniper here. This one I got down from my grandparents' place as well. This one, I just transplanted. I don't know what it is. That's what this one is. Right over there is a Russian olive. Here's another one of the plants I don't know. It's the same one as the one on top. But I got that one down at the church as well. Right over here is another Russian olive here. And this is a honeysuckle plant here. So that's what that one is. Right over here, This is a Douglas fir. I got this one up at in the mountains. And here is a Lodgepole Pine there. And I got this one up in the mountains too. That's where I got these two. This one is a Siberian Elm. I got this one down at my grandparents' house somewhere, I think. Here's a Pinyon Pine. This one was growing at the church, and that's where I got this one from. So Russian all up there, Russian all up there, Russian all up there, Russian all up there. And then in the back there's a couple other ones, but most of them died. Here's a lilac bush here and a lilac bush here. And right over here is the last of my trees. These 19 are my mom's. They were plums that popped up in one of her pots. And over here are mine. There's 6 of them here. So those are my plum trees. This one is an apricot that I got along the side of the fence. It's still green, so hopefully it'll come back, but it got shocked when it got transplanted. So most of the leaves shriveled up. So I hope it'll be able to grow some new blooms and come back. That's that one there. This is one of those coyote willows, I think is what it is. And then right over here is a Russian olive. This is growing in the raspberry and strawberry bed out back. It was growing right by my currant berry. And my currant berry was actually starting to die at this time because it needed nitrogen. And because Russian olives put nitrogen in the soil, it's way greener now, which is awesome. But I had to move it because it was along the fence. So that's where I got this one from. Right over here is a little maple tree that was growing in the flower, in one of the flower beds out front. So yeah, that's basically all my trees there.